What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming back at you tonight to do a new lake breakdown series for Grand Lake in Oklahoma. This one is a pretty large lake for sure. We're going to have several videos, but tonight we're going to go ahead and kick it off with the first Google Earth version of Grand Lake. Let's go. Here we are out on Google Earth now. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with this lake breakdown series by starting on Google Earth, and then we're going to switch over to the Navionics mobile app, and we're going to look at this lake from the contour perspective as well. The first thing we want to do is just use the satellite imagery that we have from Grand Lake and see what we can find out there. So over here on the left-hand side, just to show you how I have this broken down, I've got this broken down by different categories. It really depends on the lake. On this lake, there are actually quite a few breakwalls, so I've marked all of the breakwalls here. Of course, if I unselect those, you'll see here's all the different breakwalls that are out there. Now, the reason why I marked those is because those can be fantastic fishing spots to go fish around. Spinner baits around those breakwalls, all kinds of, swim baits, things like that. Those can just be a great way to catch fish. So I've got all of those marked for you guys. We also have the channels, so you'll see all these green tracks. These tracks are the actual channels. When the water was down low, we're able to expose some of these channels and know exactly where they are. So I'll show you those as we go through the breakdowns, but it really allows you to set up correctly in those channels when you want to fish those channels. Now we also have a ton of different cover. Now this can be debris, it can be stuff that I couldn't even identify that was out there, tires, road beds, pipes, just all kinds of different stuff that's out there, and we'll go through those as we go through the breakdown as well. And then I'm going to skip over the offshore stuff real quick, but we also have a ton of different boat ramps on this lake. This lake has a lot of boat ramps. If you ever watched any of the lake breakdown videos I've done, the boat ramp pattern can actually be a pattern that you can run at certain times of the year. So you may want to check it out, but if not, if the boat ramp pattern is not your thing, at least you'll know where all the closest ramps are to you in case you have any problems out on the lake or something like that. And then last but not least, we have a lot of different rock formations, rocky points, rocky humps, things like that I wanted to point out to you as part of this breakdown too, so we'll talk about those. And then of course, last but not least, and I talked to you about it earlier, we'll switch over to the Navionics boating app and we're going to talk about these, but these are all the different offshore spots, not all of them, but the high percentage areas that we were able to find to mark on this lake for you. So we're going to go over all of those, looking at them from a contour perspective, because if we zoom in here, we can't really tell why we have those marked as offshore spots, so it'll all make sense. So I'm going to take off the offshore stuff. I'm going to leave everything else on. I'm going to go up here to view, and I'm going to take off this sidebar so we can see the entire screen now. And then I'm going to go up here to this history view. And right now it's set for 2022. I'm actually going to draw this back to 2012 because that's when the water is the lowest on this lake as far as the imagery that Google Earth gives me. So let's go back here to 2012, and I'm just going to scroll up here to, let's go up here in this little pocket up here, and let's just look at it real quick and see if that's our best image. 2012, 2013, it's back full, so that's the one we want. Also gives us 2011, so it must have been sometime between 2011 and 2012 when this lake was down extremely low. So it exposes quite a bit of stuff for us. So let's dive into this thing. Let's talk about what we found. We got a big lake here to cover for sure. So let's go start down here at the dam. And what we're going to do is we're going to work our way up the east side, all the way up until we basically get up into the river up there. And then we're going to swing back down and we'll talk about this west side. So just starting off, when we're down here, just around the dam. Nothing really too crazy here. I'm sure we've got some offshore stuff that we'll talk about, but I didn't see anything that was that much exposed here as far as things to fish around. So you can see I've got a couple ramps here. You've got some pretty good little rocky points. You got that break that's out there too. That's always nice. This point here, just not a lot going on to it. Not saying it's not a good point, but just not a lot going on that we can see. Again, I'm sure these are some offshore spots just based on the fact that the water's probably pretty deep down here, and these are some pretty decent little points to fish around. Got another boat ramp here, another break wall. All of these points are probably going to be, interesting points to fish around. And again, we'll talk about the contour stuff later on. Right now, we're just trying to point out things that we saw on the imagery. Now this image is not very good, so I'm going to draw this back to a different image and see if we can't get anything clearer than that. So looks like the best we're going to do is right there. There's a little bit of rock in there. You might want to check that out. Let's keep going down. I feel like I've lost my image now, and this happens from time to time when you're on Google Earth. It's like you'll be moving along just fine, and then all of a sudden you'll lose everything. Got another little break wall. It's right here. Out here in front of this dock here. And I know that this lake, I know this from growing up on this, or close to this lake. I grew up in Missouri. Grand Lake was known for dock fishing, and not just dock fishing, but spinnerbait fishing. So I'd love to go up and fish this lake sometime and just go fish the docks with spinnerbaits. I know that sounds crazy and old school, but that's the kind of fishing that I like to do, and it sounds like a ton of fun. So you got lots and lots of docks, right? Tons of docks. You've got a couple more ramps that are up here. Got a little bit of rock that's out here off the edge here. I don't think we're looking at the right image because it's not giving me, it's not very clear here, and I want to show you guys what we found, but now I can't get the image to show you what we did find. But there's some rock out here outside this point. If I can ever get to it, maybe here, let's go 2016. You can see that there's a little pile of rock that's right in here. So you could check that out. Then going back in here, really didn't find anything, right? A lot of the bank line's pretty much the same. Another little boat ramp that's over here. A lot of the same bank line as you go through here until you get over here to this point. When you get to this point, you finally find some rock on this point, and this point sets up pretty good. I mean, if you just look at it, it's going back into a pretty decent little cove here. It's the first point that you really come to once you get inside the first secondary point, so that's going to be a really good point to fish around. You got a lot of different boat ramps back here, lots of docks everywhere. You've also got some rock that's over here. It's kind of hidden. You know, right here you kind of got that muddy shoreline, but if you get right here by this dock and the backside, you do have a little bit of rock that's all the way up in here that you could check out, you know, shaky heads, stuff like that. More boat ramps. Again, not seeing too much from the satellite side, just some ramps here, some more ramps. There's a break wall there, but if I remember right, one of these break walls, it's there, and then if you look at it in 2022, it's gone. Yeah, in 2022, that break wall's gone. So unfortunately, we lost that one. But as we move up here, and we keep just going around, I'm just going to kind of zoom up here. Now, one thing that's interesting here on this lake, and I've noticed it a couple times when I'm just going through the breakdown, is notice the color change right here. See how it goes from muddy to this white color? That could be like pebblish rock and stuff like that. That could be a harder spot that's right there as well. So you'll want to kind of look for stuff like that. It would be right off the edge of this point would be where the hard spot is. It's kind of sandy over here, but this point looks to be like it could be a potential hard spot. So you want to look for stuff like that. And it's really easy when the water's down low because you can just look at the bank line, you can see it. You can see those transitions and those differences there. Now there is a lot of rock right in here. Now we didn't see a lot of it. Let me back up and show you guys where I am. I've made my way a little ways up the lake already. I'm all the way up to here. But as you get up in this little section, notice again, you know, there's not a lot of rock or anything in this area, but on the flip side of this little point, there's a ton of rock, and it pretty much starts down here. It's all the way in here. I bet these docks are pretty good little docks to be fishing around with all that rock around them. We're gonna move on up, see what else we can find. Maybe a little bit of rock out here, but it was kind of hard to tell. It looks like it just kind of, you got the rock from the what man-made has built there, but then I couldn't tell what was underneath it. I couldn't tell if that was rock or not, so I didn't mark it. Do have a little rock pile in there, and then some more rocks back here behind this dock. And this dock's a little bit isolated. Everything else is together, but these two are kind of out there by themselves, so I could see this dock with that, especially with that rock being behind it, having some potential as well. I'm gonna back up here just a little bit, show you where I'm at. So now I'm up here in this little pocket here. I'm gonna zoom back in. And really just pointing out the different areas where we found a little bit of rock, right? So we found a little bit right in here around this little bend. These two little points, I can see that being a nice little staging spot for them. Some more rock back in here, back in these spots, over here as well. Just a little rocky area, and you can tell it's just a little bit different than everything else, but you can tell it's a little bit harder right in there, a little bit more rock, a little better cover for them to relate to. Coming on up here, gonna see the same type things. We're gonna see a little bit more rock in here. Again, not much going on there, and then all of a sudden we get in here and we get a little bit of rock just going down. Really, almost this whole stretch right on this side has got the harder spots. So let's keep moving up, see what else we can find. Now the imagery is really going to mess with this, kind of changing colors on us. But again, of course, I bet this is an offshore spot, but right here we got some really good rock going on right here on this side. Got a little bit on this side as well. Nice little deep, probably a little bluff wall there with that rock. You can see it from basically from here to here. You can just fish that whole section right in there, and that looks pretty juicy. Let's keep going up, see what else we can find. We've got some more rock off the edge of this point. We're gonna see that a lot on this lake. We've got some rocky areas and then some sandy areas, but I'm telling you right now, I love this little area right in here. I'll back up and just show you where I'm at. Right where that last turn comes and it swings right here. I bet the river channel comes up and swings against this, and that's why it's got me so intrigued. But definitely right in here is going to be a very high percentage area to go fish around. All right, let's keep moving on back, see what else we can find. We got some tire breaks that are over here. Not much going on, just a crap load of docks. Moving out here, we're off this point. This is interesting. You got a nice little rock pile off the edge of this point. Nothing else really going on around it, but you do have a little pile of rocks that's there. And if we zoom that up to 2022, that looks a lot different, right? Those rocks are actually going to be a little bit more submerged, which is going to be much better to be able to fish around this. All right, let's keep moving up, see what else we can find back in here. The water's just changing colors magically, just like that. But let's move back here. Now we're getting back into one of these little deeper pockets back in here. What does that say? It said something about a creek, Drowning Creek. So that's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go back in here. We're gonna see what we can find. So we're gonna go back in Drowning Creek. We got some breaks all around this little dock. That dock's pretty well protected. Really good rock on these points. You can see it all. Some there, a little bit there. This whole line right here. So some really good areas there, some boat ramps. Some more rock that's kind of hidden down here off this little inside point. That would be an interesting little spot, and some pretty good debris and stuff like that that's back there too. Got another ramp that's there. Some additional just little rocky spots where we found the rock. We kind of marked it for you guys. Got a little bit there. Of course, you got a little bit everywhere, but here are the bigger areas. Really good rocky point right there too. Some more rock back behind these docks. Some ramps. And then as we move over here, more just like, those break walls and these tires. These things can be good to fish around. I'm telling you, go fish around these things. You'll be surprised. Some tires here, some more break walls. Might even have a little road here. I couldn't tell if it was a road or a ramp, but something was going on back in there. And then as we move even further back into the pocket, down closer towards the creek, we got more ramps. This little pocket, this little point here has some pretty decent little rock around it you could check out. I don't know what this is, but this little point almost looks like an old roadbed or something, but it has some really good rock right in that area. Some more ramps there. Moving back, just a lot of ramps. And then here's that channel that I was telling you about earlier, where we've marked the channel because we can see where the channel is when the water's down. Now, when the water's up, it's a lot harder to tell where that channel is, especially out in here. So definitely something to look at as you're back there fishing. So let's move this back to where are we at? 2016, I think. We'll stay at 2016 for as long as we can until it moves us back. 2012, actually the water is a little bit lower. So we might have some spots where we're not gonna be able to see what we want, but we'll see what we can get here. A couple more ramps here. Nice little flats back in here you could fish. And then moving on up, it looks like I missed this little point here. I can't tell, maybe it's just super cold and that's just like ice or something, but for some reason that's very white right in that area. Not sure what's going on there. All right, let's keep moving up, see what else we can find. This looks interesting over here. I don't know if that's just some laydowns or a little flat that comes out, a little flat point. You can check out stuff like that. Moving up here, you got rock all the way down this. It's probably some kind of a creek channel swinging up against this and basically starting your rock from here all the way to about right in here. So you got a nice little transition area right there. You've got a dock that you can fish, and then you can just go down the bank line on this hard spot and probably be pretty productive with crankbaits and things like that. Let's keep moving on up, get around here. Of course, again, we're not showing all the offshore stuff. So when you're seeing some of these points, you're like, why didn't he mark that? And I bet we've marked them via the offshore stuff. So again, pretty good little point here. I like where it sets up to you coming in. It's one of a bigger point coming into this little creek. Let's keep looking up, see what else we can find. We've got rocks that's back in there. We've got some more rock that's over in here. You can see off this point, some additional rock that's down in here behind these docks. These docks can be pretty productive. Maybe just this little area right in here where you've got that little rocky shoreline. Some more ramps, actually lots of ramps. Then as we move up here, another ramp, more boat docks. I didn't see much from a satellite perspective, as far as anything that really popped out at me. Let's draw this back to 2012 now and see if it's going to be friendly to us. If it is, it'll give us the better image. Now you can really see the rock that's out here. This is a really good point. There's a little transition there too. If you zoom in, you can see where the rock kind of stops and gets sandy right in there. But definitely this rock stuff, like this right in here, this little point that's right here too. This looks good as well. The backside's dirt, but this side, it's definitely your harder side, your rockier side. So it's looking really good. So that is going to take us up to the end of Drowning Creek. We're about 15 minutes in, so we can keep going. Let's see how much more we can get done today. So let's keep moving up. Again, some pretty good points. You might find some shallower, like little pebbly rocks on some of these points, but nothing that really jumped out at me. Another ramp that's there as well. An isolated boat dock. Anytime you're fishing this lake, especially when that, just from past experience and what other people have talked about, that this lake is all about the boat docks. When you can find boat docks like that are out there by themselves, those are going to be pretty productive docks. And notice there's a boat on that dock right now, but definitely if you can find those ones that are isolated, like earlier we found those two that were outside of everything else. Well, those two are going to be the docks that you want to fish for sure. And this is going to be the dock. If you're fishing docks in this area, this is going to be another one that you're going to want to fish as well, just because it's so isolated. Maybe even over here too, this doesn't look like much of a dock, so that one might not be as good, but definitely finding those isolated docks is going to be key. Another area in here that I didn't mark for you guys, but it's definitely an area that you're going to want to check out, is the saddle that comes right between here. So fishing this little area right in here. And we may have marked it even as an offshore spot, but these little saddles can be really productive areas sometimes. So you definitely want to go check that out. Let's go out here. We're getting on the outside edge of what they're calling the Goat Island. Now notice it's pretty sandy out in here, pretty sandy. Well, your rocky stuff is on this side and this back side. So that's where your rocks are going to be. This image is not very good. Let's go back to 2016 if we can. It's not going to let us. So now we're just stuck. We're just stuck on the 2011 image, but that's all right. We'll keep rolling with it. We'll see what we can get. So we're moving down here. When we get inside this little pocket, this Johnson Hollow, there's some pretty good rock back in here. Notice you've got some right in here. You've got some off these points. Another little isolated dock right there. Some more rocky areas right in here. And this looks like it may even be, can't tell if it's a transition or not. No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like this whole little side right in here is going to be where all your rock is in this little area. So just some good stuff to fish around. Let's keep moving up. More rock. You're finding these rocks, and you notice that we're pointed out. We're finding these on just certain sides of these islands. This is a very interesting lake. Usually it's just the whole thing's rock, but not here. You've got these scattered little patches of rock, which is, to me, better because then it allows you to kind of narrow down your fishing. But you got some pretty good rock out here off this corner and that corner of what they're calling the Saddle Island. We're going to move up. Now, another thing, of course, you're going to hear me talk about a lot on the offshore stuff, but we're going to pay real close attention to where this river channel is. And it's pretty obvious here where it's swinging up against and what it's touching. But man, when we get into these areas where it's swinging down, like right in here, and you can tell that river channel is getting close to the bank line there, these are going to be higher percentage areas to fish around. That saddle that we just talked about, it's close to a swing. And then it's going to swing back up in here as well. But this stuff right in here where you're seeing this rock off these points, those can be decent as well. Looks like there was a break wall out here and they've moved it a little bit, or maybe they've moved it to here now, but another break wall that's out there too. Moving on up, just some more ramps to take a look at. A couple more ramps. Let's go back here into this Sweetwater Hollow. Not seeing too much here. We've got a little creek channel that comes back here. It looks like it's kind of changed over time. So Maybe if I move this up, it will show me my lines a little bit different now than what it was. There's the actual creek now as we're in 2015. And you can see it's lined up pretty good. So we'll stay at 2015 now and see if we can use this one. So as you come out here, my guess is this creek channel probably comes up this way and swings right here. So from that rock to that rock, you've more than likely got some type of a creek channel swing there, and that's what's causing that erosion and that rock to be exposed like that. So that area from rock to rock is going to be your higher percentage area to go fish back in there as well. Some more boat ramps, not a lot going on in the bank line on this spot. Some more boat ramps there. I'm going to pull back, show you guys where I'm at now. Now I've made it about, I don't know, say a quarter of the way up the lake, maybe halfway up the lake. And we're going to keep going for about 5 more minutes, and then we'll call it quits here for today. Then we'll come back with another video. But coming up here, lots of boat ramps, right? We talked about that little creek that was back there. Now we're swinging around. We're getting back on this side of the turn. And depending on where this turn goes, if it comes way down here, again, from here to basically right in here, it's probably going to be pretty good, right? Because you got some pretty good current coming down this way. And hopefully exposing some stuff here. So let's go up here. We've got some interesting laydowns that are up here. We haven't seen any of those so far, but we got a couple in here. Got some more ramps. Laydowns are starting to show up a little bit more now. A little bit of rock back here behind this dock. Some more ramps, another break wall down there. Moving down, now you can kind of see it definitely has this swing here. So this is probably gonna be some deeper water right in here, but you got some pretty good rock going down this little area right in here. Really good rocky points, rocky bluffs, stuff like that. That's going to be a good wintertime area. You know, those little areas right in there around those spots. Let's go back in. Let's finish up these 2 little pockets, and we'll stop right there at that break. So let's go in here to this pocket. Now we're in the Woodward Hollow. Going back here, didn't see a lot of stuff back here, but let's just point out what we did see. Obviously, we got some ramps there. We got some laydowns that are back here too that should be interesting. If you're fishing laydowns, maybe that pattern's on. I like this little point that comes out too. We'll probably talk about it offshore, but even though it doesn't look like it has too much on it, I just like how it sets up and the way it is. Another ramp that's back here, some more laydowns, some more rock that's over here in this area too. If you zoom in, notice it's sandy, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, from this area, like right in here, is just all rock. And so that is money to fish around. More rock right in here. Same type thing, right? Nothing, nothing, nothing. And then you get these little rocky areas that we've marked for you guys. So you'll see those too. And then we come back in here, just more little different spots of rocks. This probably has something to do with this creek channel swinging through here and swinging up against that and causing that rocky area there, here, and here. I like this spot right in here. That looks like in certain times of the year, springtime, money. Be going back there for sure. Coming up, we're just going to mark out these rocky spots, right? Rock on these points, all kinds of good stuff there. More rock in here, another laydown that's out there. And then that moves us up to this spot up here to our last little hollow, the Courthouse Hollow. When you come out here, look at this juiciness. So this comes around here. You got to figure that swings around there somewhere, and this is probably a creek channel swing here too, maybe. But look at this nice big chunky rock and junk that's right in here. So right there where that transition happens, fishing right here in this area, could be really good. And if the water comes up, you know, you could even get back here in the springtime too, so that'd be cool. All right, let's go over here to this Courthouse Hollow, and that's where we're going to finish up our day at. Some more ramps. Couple laydowns to look at back in here. You can see them. If I zoom in, you'll see the laydowns. Some really good rock, little rocky point or something going on right there between those 2 docks. Looks like a nice little collection point for them. Some more ramps. More rock over here off this side of this point too. You can see it kind of almost like a shelf that's over there. And then as we move up here, just again, some really good rocky areas. You can see just chunkier rock right in this area for some reason. Then another break wall, and then some more rock, and then we're back up to that break wall where I told you that we'd stop at. So when we come back for the next video, we'll start there on that break wall. we'll continue working our way up this side of the bank line and see how much we can get done on the next video. I imagine it's going to take us a few, then we're going to switch over. We're going to use that Navionics mobile app to look at the contour stuff and talk about offshore fishing on Grand Lake. Should be a good one, guys. You don't have to wait till the video's over. All you have to do, just go out to simplisticfishing.com. We already have this lake posted out there. You'll get all these waypoints put on an SD card for you. You take that SD card, you put it into your graph. It will change the way you fish. I promise you, it will allow you to pattern fish on Grand Lake so much easier and allow you to really prep and get ready for everything. So definitely go out and check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.